This is King Kid, and you're tuned in to Gigaset Radio.
What you see now on the internet? No, I was listening to Gigaset. Oh, I be listening to every show, keeping me all in the know on Gigaset Radio. What you see now on the internet? No, I was listening to Gigaset. Oh, I be listening to every show, keeping me all in the know on Gigaset Radio.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to yet another episode of Jigga Say Radio. You already laughing. What you laughing for?
I'm feeling good.
King Kid's in the building, y'all. Y'all make some noise. No worries. I ain't even started drinking yet. That's the bad part. It's just Sunday. We just out here. Man. Welcome to the show. I know that you said that you've done a couple podcasts in the past, and I assure you this is going to be a very unique one because we're going to be just having a conversation. We're going to make this about you. And so everyone that's listening, and then those that are tuned into the visuals as well, this will be offered as a visual on YouTube and the other affiliate parties, but other affiliate platforms rather. So let's just get started. So we were talking a little bit before the episode started, or the recording started rather. And so tell us about yourself and where you're from, and we'll go from there.
All right. I go by the name King Kid. Mm-hmm. That's King.Kid with 2 Ds. Mm-hmm. Born and raised in Dallas, Texas. This is my home. I don't really see me moving anywhere else.
Okay.
Always been into music.
Mm-hmm.
Literally been in the choir since I was like 5.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Ended up being one of the youngest people in my elementary school choir, allowed to be in the biggest, like, older group of kids.
Nice, okay.
I just followed all the way through high school. Thought I was going to let it go when I went to the Army, and it just never left. So as soon as I was able to get back into my creative side, jump right back in.
Yeah, and since that is essentially, you just established the fact that music is part of you, right? It's not something that one can just let go just because you say, oh, I'm tired of it, or you hit a mental roadblock or something. It's just ingrained in you. You were born with it. And talking about your childhood, being here from Dallas, you've seen the city transform a lot. And not just the city architecture, the amount of people that's moved here, but I'm pretty sure the music scene has changed a lot too. Tell me about the early days when you were into music, and then seeing how you had to adapt to today's standards. So talk to me about that.
So I was telling you earlier, there was a radio station called the Oasis. Mm-hmm. And as a kid going to their summer jams, it used to be
lit.
Packed.
Yeah.
I mean, you would have to fight to find a patch of grass to put down your towel to claim some area.
Yeah.
And fast forwarded to now, to where not a lot of people is going out, which I understand because of the climate, the landscape, all of the shootings, and just violence in general. And it's taken a hit on creativity and artists even having a place to be able to perform.
Right.
Because not all of us are into the violent rap and stuff like that. So it still affects us, though, because we're all looked at.
Right.
As one big
conglomerate.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
It's like, can get scarce a little bit.
Yeah.
But there still are some gyms. Like, you'll have the Road Club in Fort Worth. They cater to almost every genre that you can think of. They have like dedicated nights to hip hop and rap, which I love. It's a place I frequent a lot.
Yeah.
And there's a couple places in Deep Ellum that are still trying to stay, even though there was just a new ordinance that was put out. They're really attacking musicians and
what was the
live
ordinance?
Music. They're putting curfews. A lot of venues that have been there for a while are now closing down.
Wow.
That were like geared towards live music.
Right.
And it's becoming a different place.
And that's definitely a good start of another conversation, is when changes happen in the industry, how important is it for not only just like venues that cater to musicians, but musicians in general, like how important is it to be able to pivot, be able to go with the flow? Because, and then once you start going with the flow, is it taken away from your core character or your actual performer, your stage name? But is it taken away from that whole experience when you have to conform to what's happening locally around you?
In a way, yes, but in a way, no, because I feel like in this era of music, it's the perfect time for artists to actually have ownership of their brand, their music. So even though the physical venues are shutting down, you have so many like social media platforms that are offering places to go live so you can have virtual shows.
Right.
And you can set up your monetization in different ways to make it work for you. So you don't have to feel like you're having to change what you actually offer as an artist. It's just forcing you to be more creative,
think outside the box.
Outside the box,
yeah.
Exactly.
And of course, the environment in which you practice that at is important. So, what do you surround yourself with to stay grounded and be able to focus on generating unique music that resides under your brand? What do you do to stay grounded?
Really, just staying plugged into what I like musically.
Yeah.
I watch a lot of musicals.
Yeah.
Just different art forms that I can pull different parts of myself from.
Yeah.
I'm interested in almost everything that is entertainment, and I can pull anything that I really need from those. I'll also make sure I'm being around my family, my immediate family that I know only sees me as Destiny. They don't care about what I'm doing on the outside. Also, my 9-to-5 helps.
Oh, really?
Because last year I opened for like Ying twins and Dorrough and Lardy B. And in my career, that was like one of the biggest moments ever.
Yeah.
But knowing that I had to go back to my 9-to-5 the next day was like, and you're not quite there yet.
Yeah, and we're back.
Bring it back down to earth.
Yeah, that's exciting. So that's something I didn't know, that you opened for the Ying twins, and you said what was the other artist?
Dorrough Music. Lardy B.
Lardy B. Yeah. So like, how was that experience? Because as artists, and granted, I'm not a music artist, but I appreciate artistry. And when you level up to that, when you get that shot. What is that mental process right before leading, like before and during? What does that look like? What does that feel like? And I say this because the artists that are watching and listening to this podcast, it might be something that can help them prepare for what may be their biggest gig. And so what does that look like and feel like?
I would say, first of all, that was like one of the hardest parts of the year for me because my producer that I've been working with for the last 3.5 years passed away in February of last year.
I'm sorry.
And one of my DJs, shout out to DJ Tony Snow, he was really good friends with Big Hub. And so he was like, hey, I want to take you under my wing.
Yeah.
And not even 3 weeks, he was like, hey, you're opening up for these people. And I was like, huh? Are you sure you said, like, are you sure you're messaging the right person?
Right.
Like, no, like, I believe in you. You got this. This is what Hub would have wanted. And I have to be honest, like, I had to take a moment because I almost had the posture syndrome.
Oh, yes.
And I had to be like, is this what you really want? Because the amount of people that just the names themselves bring out, you're going to be opening the shows. Is this what you really want? And then that other side of my brain kicked in. It was like, bro, you've been doing this since 2015. You've put this amount of hours in, this amount of money. You've been doing shows locally. This is your time. Why are you scared?
Right.
And the night before the Yin Yang show, my stomach was the enemy of me. I was throwing up stomach bile for 5 hours.
Word.
Couldn't get to sleep.
Wow.
Finally fell asleep, woke up, and was like, man, we're just going to do this.
So that was the night before. So how much sleep did you get? None. Wow.
And what's crazy is that is like one of my best performances to date, from just crowd engagement, crowd participation, the crowd reaction after I got done. One of my best performances to date. but one of the most horrible experiences before.
Yeah, no, but I'm glad you got through it. That's a big thing. That's a really big deal because everyone's awarded that opportunity to be able to work with artists that are already established. It's like one of those things that, as an artist, you strive for. Starting off maybe someone smaller that you want to open up for, or at least get your music in front of,
yes.
And then aspiring, shooting bigger, and be thinking,
gotcha, Benny, be thinking big, bitch,
really big. And once you get to that level, it seems okay. What's next? What else can I do? Because now I have to outdo myself. Like, and it's not, you're not trying to compete against anyone else but yourself. There are other scenarios you've had to where people undermined.
I would say getting seen. A couple years ago, I had a manager, and we actually worked together in our 9-to-5. So I thought she understood who I was, and where I was coming from, and what I wanted my platform to be.
Right.
But as soon as she got like the official title, it was like, no, this needs to change. No, you need to do this. No, this needs to change. And it was like, I can take constructive criticism. I can see what needs to be worked on. But when you're going against everything that I stand for, the sex appeal, I'm not even about that. My music's not even about that. So for you to want to promote me in that way, it was like, okay, well, you don't even understand where I'm trying to go, what I'm trying to do, and what I'm trying to establish. Let that go. And I thought that was going to be the end of my music scene. And then I ended up getting with this other artist who wanted to build a conglomerate. But what he really wanted was control. And it was, oh, I can tell you when you put your projects out. Oh, I tell you when you put your visuals out. And it's
okay.
I've been doing this before you.
Right. Right.
You got interested because you saw what I was doing. Good on that. And from that situation, I actually met my manager, phenomenal person, Douglas Elliott, and he has brought me to where I am now.
Shout out to him.
Like, he just listened.
Yeah.
It's like, you tell me what you want to do, and I'll just put you in the rooms or around the people that fit within that, and then I'll let you do what you do. I'm not trying to take control, not trying to tell you what to do. I'm going to let you be you. I'm just going to set you up. And literally, I would not be where I am now. And I think that's important, not even just in the film or the realm of entertainment. It's important across the board to allow people to be themselves and explore themselves. And then when it gets to the point to where you're owned by that label or that conglomerate, it starts to water down the experience that you went out to set out for people to see. And how important is it for people to have creative control of their own things? Because ownership, I heard, and I'm not fully in the industry, but like I heard you need to make sure you own your music or own your material, because that can come back and be used against you or taken from you, essentially. And so how with your experience, your knowledge of the industry now, how important is that to have ownership, and any scenarios in where you can absolutely attest to this is the reason why it's important to own your own things? It's very important. I know a lot of people that I'm around, they say that they respect the way that I do my business moves because I went ahead, I got like my artist name and my logo trademarked. So anytime that's placed anywhere, you shouldn't be upset if I'm telling you like, hey, I don't want it this way. You spelled my name wrong. Right. Because I paid for this to have it this specific way. Right. As well as ownership of your music, because I've actually recently just went through a situation where I let one of my songs go. The label owns the publishing, so they can essentially do whatever they want with it. I secured a very good placement on a mixtape on a bigger label than them. Yeah. And they went and contacted the person who put the track on there to take it off.
Oh, wow.
And there's nothing that I could do about that.
Wow, okay.
Now, where I was smart is I originally recorded that song with my original producer that passed away. Okay. So essentially, like, they own that version. Okay. But they don't necessarily own the song.
Gotcha.
Which is why it's important to have your ownership.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I didn't, I would have to wipe my hands clean of that and just chalk it up as a lesson.
A loss.
Pretty much.
And how does one really get educated about that? And is it just like a good idea to, like, when you get into the industry, to have a mentor, seek out a mentor? Or is it just one of those things that you just learn along the way? YouTube University. What do you think is in today's we're in 2023, y'all. July 2023. Yeah, it's hot. Here in Dallas, Texas. And what would you say is the most efficient way in today's society to acquire that knowledge of what to do to protect yourself when you're releasing your material?
See, my journey for that was a little different because I always knew I wanted to do music. As a kid, I always used to pay attention to artist interviews and biopics and stuff like that. And you hear the same story over and over and over. And it was like, okay, what can I do differently that I don't have to go through what they went through, but still have the notoriety that they have.
Exactly.
So that set my foundation. And then Google, YouTube, always great tools to use anytime I have an off-the-wall question. That's one of the first places I go to. But one of my graphic guys on my team, Loco Conroe, he actually ended up gifting me a book called The Music Business 101. And I just scoured through that book, like page by page, where I learned like what a manager actually does, what they cover, what they don't cover, what your money should actually be going to, what a budget is actually for, which propelled me to getting my own trademark, getting my LLC for my label. So I am protected all the way around. So now at this point, people have to come to me and ask me if they want to use anything of mine. Because of those steps. So I would just say, if you have any question, Google. For me, I always listen to like my favorite artists doing interviews for the people who I want to follow after and just dig, man. It's more about the business than it is the music. So once you can understand the actual business, you can be free to create after that.
Yeah, that actually, I'll be generating stuff on the fly because, you know, we work with no agenda over here at Jigga Set Radio. We just listen to people and talking about just having the knowledge of the industry, the various ways you just listed on how to acquire that knowledge. And then you also mentioned protection, right? And you listed out having an LLC, getting things trademarked. What else do you feel, as someone that's starting off in industry, including those two things, that someone should enlist or consider when starting off or to protect their brand?
First off, I would start with signing up for a pro, whether that's BMI, ASCAP. I'm with BMI. It's free to sign up as an artist. $150 to sign up as a publisher. So I have my writing and my publisher through BMI.
Okay.
After that, you want to get your trademarked. I did it the smart way. My name is included within my logo.
Oh, okay.
So it was a loophole where I got my name and logo trademarked. So like literally
there's no way they can come in on either side. Yeah.
And my LLC, that was really an off the wall idea because I had already did all the other stuff. And I was like, I feel like I'm missing something. What else?
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily needed, but because I'm more into trying to get into the sync licensing side of it, I want it to be a business entity so that when people are like, hey, we want to have a meeting with you, it's okay. You're having a meeting with DB Productions LLC. It's just a face for it, but you're having a meeting with an actual company.
Exactly. With that being said, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back, y'all. Come back to us when you can. All right. So we talked about being resourceful in this industry, in the music industry, and being able to pivot and understanding the importance of owning your stuff, your music, your content. We've neglected to talk about what your genre of music is, like where your soul is. Where does that exist as far as when you're recording things, when inspiration comes to you? So walk us through your style of music, if you will.
I like to say that I am a conscious poet who happens to make hip-hop music with a little mix of pop and R&B.
Okay. Is there any examples that you can give for those who are like, oh, what does that mean? Is there anything you can say that's relatable to that or similar? Any current artists or songs or anything that's out there that's similar to this?
So, because I love like old school R&B, you can think of my music as, remember those days where like Ashanti and J. Rule used to collab all the time and it'd be that perfect mix of R&B and hip hop.
Oh yeah,
track.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's
nice.
where I sit.
Nice.
Right
sit right in a little corner.
Mm-hmm.
Like a little quanta. With that being said, since that is your style of music, if any, are there other artists that you could say represents that collaboration, that blend that you not necessarily look up to, that you like, all right, I see you, maybe draw inspiration from?
Well, I'd say like the biggest people that I draw my inspiration from would be Will Smith. He's one of my favorite rappers.
Nice.
Love Joe Scott, definitely with the poetry aspect and
yes,
weaving that into a song.
Yes.
And with my new single that I just dropped, Daddy Issues, I took a lot of inspiration from Tupac.
Nice.
Because I actually dropped a song when I first came out about my mom that I used his Dear Mama for.
Oh, okay.
But this time I'm talking about my dad.
Okay.
So.
Okay. And the track is available on what platforms?
It's available everywhere.
Okay.
You can stream it, Apple Music, Spotify, Tidal. You can watch the video on YouTube.
Nice.
It's everywhere.
Okay. Talking about our family, because you had a mom song dedicated to your mom or based on your mom, and then also one just now about your dad, daddy issues. And so how important is it for, as an artist, for us to recognize the influence of our parents or our family when we draw our inspiration, when we're recording songs? Because when you guys are in the process, the creative space to do, you're drawing inspiration on life experiences a lot of times. And so what was the inspiration behind the mom and dad influence song? And how important is it for us to tap into that childhood for us to draw inspiration?
For me, because music is my therapy, it's the only way that I can trick myself into thinking about these things. Because in my brain, it's, oh, you're doing this creatively, so you have to fight through your trauma. You have to get to the root of like why you're scared of this so that you can put it on the track and explain it better there.
Right.
So when I wrote the song for my mom, we didn't have the best relationship growing up. And so that was like my attempt to show like, hey, I'm here. I do want to fix this relationship. And it did work, like for the positive. We have a really good relationship now.
Was that before, during, or after the song were you guys made up?
It was like right before, but then after she heard the song, it was like that extra.
Okay.
We're both in it now. We both have the same goal. Didn't exactly work that way with my dad because he actually just texted me like last week and we hadn't talked since maybe like 2013.
Oh, wow.
2014.
Long time.
Very. And it was almost like a waste of time if I have to say that because he was just like, oh yeah, I heard your song. It was really good. I can hear like the passion in it. I can hear your emotions and da-da-da-da-da. And I was just like, is that all you have to say?
Because I made a song about you.
And I literally was like, this song is about you, right?
Yeah.
And he hit me with the most narcissistic thing. And he was like, oh, is it? I'm going to have to go back and re-listen to it. And I was just like...
I mean, if the song is titled Daddy Issues, the first thing I'm going to do...
One of the pictures that I found when I was a freshman in high school, when I found out for the first time that my sister actually lived with us growing up, that picture is literally the cover art.
Oh, wow, for the single.
So, like,
oh, wow.
I don't know how he would have missed.
Sometimes I guess if you're not looking for it, I'm just trying to find a way to defend him. I'm sorry. But I guess I'm just going to go back to being neutral. No, that's very telling. So I guess my next question is, as an artist, again, approaching this family situation, specifically with your dad, what will be your next step? Do you want to try to reconcile that? Or as an artist, you already used the song as a way of expressing yourself and you're pretty much done with it? And I'm going to focus on other things.
Because I had the mentality that I wasn't going to talk to him, the song was like my release of it all. But then because he started calling my phone literally every single day, sending me text messages every single day, I was like, okay, let me just finally answer.
Yeah.
And then now that I have, and that was the response that I got, included with, oh, I've always wanted to be a rapper. I think I got some bars. Let me know what you think. And sends me a paragraph of a rap. I'm going to be scheduling a therapy session in about 2 weeks so that I can bring this up to her.
Yeah.
Because I don't know where I want to go from here now. Because I was not expecting that response, if any response, because that's the response I got.
Right.
I don't know how to actually process that.
So I'm assuming that's one of the responses you didn't calculate from him.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I thought it was either not going to hear from him ever, and I would have been fine with that, or oh my God, I'm so sorry. This is why I wasn't in your life. Let's actually talk about it. Let's move through it, and not I want to be a superstar too. Like,
so do you feel like when you released that song, that was your way of extending the olive branch for trying to find closure in the absence of him or the relationship disconnect with him? Was that your olive branch in hopes to possibly repair or at least get some type of step forward towards repairing or reconciliation with him?
That's funny.
This is a therapy session.
Wow. That's funny because the videographer, Michael Rashad from C9 Films, who shot the Daddy Issues video, he literally stopped me during one of the takes because that scene from The Fresh Prince where Will is talking to Dr. Phil.
Oh, yeah, that one.
Like, I was listening to that over and over again while I was.
That was a very powerful scene. And not to cut you off, he actually brought that up during the reunion. That was unscripted. It was unscripted. Yeah. And Uncle Phil had to bring him back in. You got this. And hold it together.
It hits me every time because I'm him. Like, I know what you're feeling. And during one of our breaks on set, I was listening to that and he stopped and he was like, "You still want him in your life, don't you?" I was like, no. And he was like, "Look, the way that you're crying and like getting into the song," he was like, "You want your dad to come back around." Subconsciously, I think yes.
Yes. Okay. Okay.
But in my stubborn mind, no.
I hear that. I have my daddy issues too, but I'm working through that. And it's a great segue that you provided in this conversation was about therapy. And in many episodes in which you guys will see audio or see or hear, in many episodes we've done, we talk about mental health in the African American community and how important it is to recognize that, that we are worthy of receiving help for our mental capacity. Because of many races that are out there, our communities, like, we suffer through a lot.
Yes.
And a lot of things that happen in our childhood, we are trained to have the mindset of we need to just push through it and get over it. We're not allowed to feel, especially with men, but with women as well, we have to like push through it because our family needs us, or we just are in an environment where emotions are just not warranted or whatever the case is. And then, as I state many times, what goes on in this house stays in this house, which is not the healthiest thing. And it's so crazy because we're in 2023 now, and therapy is becoming more of a norm now. It's finally become more of a norm. And because back in the day, even me yesterday watching the episode of Insecure in season 1, I think it was like the second to the last episode of the season. Yes. Shout out to Netflix now. Having Insecure. It was on HBO Max this entire time, and now it's on Netflix, and I'm pretty sure more people are subscribed to Netflix. Right Shout out to HBO Max as well, man. One of the episodes is when, of course, Molly comes across an old friend. Again, this is season 1. I think it's like episode 6 or 7. People that's watching, feel free to correct me. And so Molly comes across an old friend, and she said, "Girl, what you doing? You look good." And she was like, "I'm doing good. I'm in therapy." And she said, "Girl, you okay? You crazy?" It's a typical response from other people in our community that just are not familiar with the concept of therapy. And she said, "Oh, I'm good, girl. You should consider doing it." And Molly actually holding that in the back of her head during that whole episode, because even when she was there for Issa's event, when she was for the nonprofit event with the kids,
she brought it up.
And she kept bringing it up. And then when Issa was like, "Oh, girl, it wouldn't be a bad thing to consider," and she was like, "You saying I'm crazy? You saying I need help?" She's saying, "I'm saying like you should consider therapy because you've been through a lot." And she had an attitude the entire night. Everything was pissing her off. Like even from the drinks. Girl, you see these drinks, the menu. Yeah. And Issa finally came around. Granted, Issa did some things during the episode too. That whole Daniel thing. Listen. Hold on. Gotcha, bitch. Like it was a whole bunch of gotchas in there, but it was a whole bunch of
scene. I'm just like, here we go.
But I was getting nervous because I'm like, "Oh, Issa, this is getting too close. You got too many people here. There's too many friends and side pieces. And then your man is here and your side piece is here." Granted, Daniel should not have been there. You wouldn't, but he was part of the whole experience. So it only made sense.
But he knew.
He knew, but Issa, and this is a big thing about communication, right?
True.
Issa ignored all the text messages from Daniel. Swipe left and hit delete. But if she has just sat there and, "Hey, I just need some space," like literally she just fired one message.
Yeah.
"I fucked up. I need some space. I need to process this." He would have left her alone or been like, "All right, I'll check in with you later or whatever. I'll give you your space." Something. It would have been a whole different outcome.
This is true.
And her and Lawrence would have still been together, because after that episode, and he started getting suspicious because...
Well, yeah, he was suspicious before that.
Because when they had
her phone.
Yeah, he got her phone after I guess they had sex or whatever, and found that message, and he was like, "What the fuck?" So it was like he ain't got enough evidence, but like it's on his radar now. And then that whole situation, him talking about, okay, she's been gone, she getting panties from Rite Aid, all this stuff is happening. He's putting it together. And then it was during that moment, during that banquet, from the balcony. Oh, I said, "Oh my God."
No. When he went to the curb.
Yes.
Daniel was waiting for his car.
Yes, standing there.
"So, what's
your affiliation? We got y'all." He said, "I ain't got one no more." I'm like, "Oh shit. Oh shit." Daniel don't even know. That's
a confirmation.
Oh God. And then when everything was done with Issa feeling good, Joanne had gave her props.
We just point out that Lawrence has always been the better friend than Molly. Because Lawrence knew not to make that moment about him and their relationship. He came back to that still calm.
Yep.
Let her have her moment, her praise.
Because he definitely was. You could see the wheels turning in his head,
but
and he still.
Completely changed. But in that moment, he was like, "Hey, I'm gonna let you."
Yeah, Molly took it out on her during. She had her whole attitude. Everything was bothering her. It was like, "Girl, you're here to support me." Lawrence did that. In spite of everything he was like feeling in his side of his head.
Exactly.
And then when they got home, when she got home, child, I was scared for her. When he had sat there, he said, "Who is Daniel?" I'm like, "Oh shit." Oh shit.
Close the
door or nothing. He's like, "Hey babe, we killed it today." She didn't turn around and look at this man's face. Nothing, babe. We killed it today. How you feeling? She like, "Who is Daniel?" He was like, "Who is Daniel?" I'm like, "Oh shit." I hope he don't hit her for real. Because That first improv that she did. I'm like, oh my God, please don't be that person, Dane. Or Lawrence. Yeah, that was scary.
Yeah.
Insecure is my favorite show. So,
Same.
Shout out to Insecure. If you watching or listening, love to have you on the show. We'll have a whole panel. I'll find all the fans that are Insecure. We're going to be here. We're going to support you. But mental health, going through those traumatic experiences, not having an outlet, and being judged for seeking out help as an artist. Circling back to as an artist, how important is it, and especially in your experiences you've had with your family and just industry knowledge and experiences, how important is it to be balanced and have that outlet to talk to someone professionally?
It's so important. And the ridiculous thing is, for the longest time, like, I've always wanted to go to therapy.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the biggest things that stopped me was, again, that imposter syndrome. Because I was like, if I actually take the steps to fixing myself and fixing my emotions and working through the things that I've been through, would I still be an artist? Would I still have things to talk about?
Right.
Would I still have things to draw from?
Right.
Even being, because I act as well. So when I have to play those dramatic scenes, if I work through all of these things, am I going to be able to conjure up those emotions that I need if I have to cry or if I have to do anything? And the first time I had my session, I was like, I needed this.
Yep.
Because it's literally talking to a non-judgmental friend.
Right.
They're just there to listen to you, get all of your shit out, and then they're going, okay, do you want to just actually talk it through? Or do we want to create a correction plan to give you actions that will help you to avoid these triggers?
Exactly.
Like, I've never had that.
I don't know. There's options. I like options. I didn't think I had these options.
I let you smoke some weed, take a shot, listen to my favorite song or watch my favorite show, cry it out, good.
Be good.
Knowing that it's
still there. You're just remedying it in that moment, but it's not solving the problem. It's not getting to the root of the problem. And that's what therapy is for, to help you understand that you clearly are bothered or agitated or affected by this in some capacity. What are we going to do to help you get through the moments where it's no longer a trigger? And especially, I understand what you're saying. As an entrepreneur, I draw my passion from the lack thereof that I had in my past. Not having access to certain things, being told no for so long, and then now having an avenue to make a yes.
Yes.
And so when it comes to therapy, being able to unlock the various ways in which we can express ourselves in a healthy manner. And knowing that, yes, we have found the closure or the permanent remedies to move past it, but not forgetting what happened. So we can still draw from it and not let it disrupt our day or cause us to develop additional unhealthy habits. That's what the therapy is for, to help us like channel that and connect the dots back to where we need to be so we're still stable and we can move forward. I appreciate you sharing that. My last thing before we wrap up is any projects you got going on. You say you just released another single or EP, is it EP? Single called Daddy Issues. And what else do you have going on? Do you have anything else that's noteworthy? Something that you want people to get behind and follow? Or you just want to say, hey, follow me on my social media platforms?
Yeah, definitely trying to build my fan base right now. Get my core audience together. So if you guys want to follow me everywhere, it's king.kid with 2 Ds, 4-5. Twitter is the only thing that's different. That's king_kid, 2 Ds, 4-5.
She had to get creative.
Make it different. You can also go to my website. That's dbprod.org, where that'll give you all the links to my music, my videos, my shows, anything that you want to know about me. You can get it from there. So far, I'm about to start filming a movie called Boys Cry. Okay. That's going to be dealing with domestic violence within LGBTQIA community. So that's going to be very special to my heart. Waiting for another film that I did last year called In Due Time to come out. Okay. I have 2 songs within that project.
Nice.
And I also did a background role for that.
Okay, yes. Shout out to that. I'm here for it.
Taking a break because the way that I write music, it's very authentic to my life and what I experience. So I try to give myself time to experience life.
Right.
So that I have something to write about.
I think that's pretty much what, when we follow Mary J. Blige, that's how we seen Happy Mary and we seen some sad Mary. I'm going down, baby. We know you going through it, Mary.
Okay.
And when she said, I'm just fine. Oh, you happy, Mary?
Look, I love me some Mary J. But I do have an album concept brewing in my head. It's been there for the last couple months.
Okay.
So the fact that it stayed consistent, I know that's probably what I'm going to be working towards next.
Okay.
So I'll say probably in the next year or so I'll have another.
We'll give her another round of applause, y'all. And of course, thank you for joining the show. We're absolutely happy back. And you let us know in any capacity how we can help you if you need some promotion and things like that. We got you. We got just insecure. We got y'all.
I know. I'm like you're saying in my head.
Shout out to Insecure again. Thank you so much for joining. And that's the end of our episode, y'all. We out. Until the next one, y'all.